Welcome back to the video blog. Daniel Mezei here, pmdforhire.com. Thanks again for watching. This is Toronto. It's cold. I'm in short sleeves. It's probably like -2. For those of you who were watching last year, I pretty much went until the beginning of January, or probably the second week of January before I put on my sweater. So it's not cold enough for me yet to bundle up. So an interesting story that came across my desk. Somebody I'm going to call a friend who used to go to art school here in the city, a very talented artist, somebody who really had literally their career sprawled out in front of them with all manner of possibilities in terms of any advertising agency would have signed this person. This person could have gone into freelance business for herself, you know, done sketch drawings, portraiture, any kind of logo design or something that could have resulted in a kind of steady income stream, notoriety, and all manner of professionalism. Recently informed me that she decided that she'd had enough with the so-called business world, and how, of course, the business world was so, profligate and abusive, and it was so soul-sucking and demeaning that she decided that's it. She's going to de-enroll herself from one of the city's most prestigious art academies that people from abroad come to the city to study there, probably couple of degrees or a couple of rungs below the Juilliard School. And I was dismayed to discover that this person just threw in the towel and decided that that was it. They'd had enough and they were giving up and they were quitting. The point of today's video blog is this. If you give up early, you suck. You do. You just suck. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sugarcoat or take any degrees off of that statement. You purely suck. If you stop doing something that is not based in some kind of medical restriction or some kind of family emergency that prevents you from doing something, and you prematurely cease a boldly embarked upon initiative that had all manner of succeeding written all over it, you fail. You suck. There is no recovery for someone like you. I'm sorry to say it, but that's how I feel. I was so dismayed to learn from this person who showed me her portfolio and sketchbook, and I was just like, man, if you work with somebody who can help you properly cultivate a clientele for this particular skill that God or whatever has given you, if you are interested in, forget about, trying to make $1 million. If you're interested in making a steady living from your exorbitant talents, let's have a conversation. I'm so dismayed to learn that this person just pulled the ripcord and jumped out. And then reversed the discussion and started blaming me for having such close ties to the media business. Asking me questions like, how do you have the wherewithal and the desire to want to align yourself with such, again, abusive powers that produce pieces of where does this discussion take off from? I have no idea how this person arrived at any of these conclusions. The Occupy movements around the world, especially in this city, are eventually going to come to a close. It's getting too cold for most people to kind of hang out at the Occupy movements. There's no money for generators or, whatever, fan heaters or glow sticks or phosphorescent lights or something to keep the grounds warm. Eventually they're going to have to pull up stakes and vacate, because if you haven't been up to Toronto, when wintertime comes, it gets pretty unbearable. So the Occupy movements are pretty much on their way out, and I don't really see people aligning their interests along with Occupy. If you're a student of history and you've studied social change movements, if just looking at the 20th century without looking at the second half of the 20th century without considering things like the Bolshevik Revolution or the Spanish Civil War, you'll pretty much see that yeah, they have a lasting impact, but in terms of human beings engaging in commerce as a means of objectively verifying whether or not something has value or not in society, we're not talking about the big banks or investment banks or, credit default swaps or crap like that. We're just talking about basic human interaction. For somebody to, like, get off the gravy train in light of some very tendentious and extremely short-term situation like Occupy whatever, you suck. You suck. You suck so bad in my view that I don't even know if I even want to talk to you anymore. I mean, it's just rotten. It is so tragic when people that have all of the gifts, that live in an affluent society, for the most part, that don't get accosted on the street, because you're a woman, that are not obligated to wear things over their body that they're not 100% willing to wear, to not have compulsion put upon you, and you give it up on the altar of some garbage, you suck. You don't give up. You don't stop. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I said I was going to blog about this yesterday, and I'm blogging about this today. There are so much things that you have to do to be a success, but all of those avenues are at your disposal. And if you don't want to do it, it's because you don't want to do it. It's not because you can't. It's not because someone's telling you you can't. You can. You just don't want to. I say it like that, and don't couch your objections or your refusal or your pulling the ripcord on some silly, vacuous answer like, how could you be affiliated with an industry that is so demeaning and so soul-sucking? You suck. That's who sucks. That's the video blog for today. And I'm back.